Say hello to Louise, Martha, Sandy, and Beverly, who's currently relaxing at her timeshare in Florida. Together they make up Port Perry, Ontario's very own version of the Golden Girls.
Hi. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
By moving in together to share expenses and good times, these retirees have been able to age gracefully in this large 3,400 square foot home with all the extras, including an elevator. Yeah, sure, let's go for a ride. Raised porch, deeper stairwell treads, and wider doorways.
It was probably the most economical way of aging, being able to share on the cost of services, quite a number of things. And you know, companionship, because loneliness is one of the real key issues for aging people.
So you're saying it would cost $100,000 a year?
Yes.
To stay in a retirement home?
Yes, and you completely eliminate, in many cases, the equity that you had in your home and your savings. And so our retirement homes have told us that they have two very difficult times. One is when they say nobody has enough money to come in, and the other is your money's run out, you've lived too long.
My favorite thing is the fact that both my boys, my siblings, they're happy too. They know that I'm safe and that if anything happens, somebody might come to my rescue.
The girls have even created a website for others interested in learning about home sharing. You can check it out at 100perrystreet.ca.
You know, Darren, we have room for one more roommate.
Oh yeah, really?
But you've got to earn your keep.
In Port Perry, Ontario, I'm Darren Maharaj for Zoomer News.
Hey, Darren, you missed the spot.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for being a friend.
All right, welcome back. As you can see from Darren's report, the driving force behind home sharing is the soaring cost of housing, but there's a lot more to it than that. Naama, the big question, why don't we all live together?
Well, it looks lovely. I don't think we need to go as far, you know, and maybe as the immigrant in the panel today, you know, put the architect aside, I chose Toronto as my, believe it or not, a decade ago was my affordable option. And you know, when we look at cities and where you choose to live, I would choose to live in an area that, yes, again, the trade-offs. I don't own a car, but in the weekend, I take the kids to the park and to the ROM and to the aquarium. It's that lifestyle. So it's very different from what you just showed us.
Sean, do we need to rethink the need for totally private space? Historically, humans have lived together. We're the outliers.
Yeah, no, if you do go back, of course, extended families were quite common, and many of the country's population in Canada is immigrants to Canada, in fact, settlers, if I could say that. And so we are looking, particularly as people age and as we're Zoomers, the opportunity of living together and sharing common interests, like what you've just seen in the program.
Well, and the other issue, of course, is around affordability. We know that a lot of Zoomers are drawing down on the equity in their homes to pay for other things. It starts to make a lot of sense when you look at it from that perspective.
Yes, exactly. In fact, there's been a significant increase in Zoomer populations, Zoomers taking on reverse mortgages to help fund the home purchases of their children. This is a big trend. And, you know, as you're dipping into your retirement, you're dipping into the equity you built in your home just so the future generations can afford. So that's definitely eroding into the savings and the long-term stability of the living situation of these people, for sure.
Yeah.
And not to deviate from the theme of the show, but what that also touches on is a crisis of aging in healthcare. And the fact that we have seniors who want to age in place and simply aren't able to do it in a traditional sense. And so I think it's a really inventive way of being able to achieve a lot of that, the wider doors and everything. I think we need to look at more of those options. And the ripple effects of that are going to affect things like healthcare, like the communities and the sustainability of a community for multiple generations to live in one place together.
You know, Stephen, for so long, the single-family home has been tied to success and luxury. And, you know, you see that video and you wonder, how do we change the narrative to looking at community and homes and living together as success, not the single-family home?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Toronto historically, as an immigration center, it wasn't unusual to buy your home and rent out portions to other people that were coming from your home country and grow your family. I mean, a lot of downtown homes actually are 2 or 3 units and still are, or they've been deconverted because of the demand for single-family homes. But the intensification of housing and cooperative living, you know, everyone gets a roommate now. You know, everyone does at some point in their life have some form of co-housing. And now it's also extending to multi-generational housing. And for friends, I bought a house with one of my best friends to age in place one day. It's like
really?
this, yeah, absolutely. We just said, are we going to go into care or are we going to take care of each other? And
that's
so we
lovely.
made that decision, and we did this 14 years ago. And so it was like forward thinking. And in the interim, we rent the property to students and give them an opportunity to have some housing while they get their education.
I'm curious because there are the realities, but then the sort of practicality. There's the benefits, of course, which you mentioned, but the practicalities and the realities, I mean, the legal details have to be airtight. I'm curious how you went about that.
Well, we actually are best friends, and so we are leaving the house to each other, and we just told our families, like, we're taking care of each other. This is it. So we actually don't have a contract. We have left the property in each other's names if one of us passes away. But a lot of people wouldn't do that. And so you're right, you need an ironclad contract that dictates the timing, the process, the execution, and what you're agreeing to. And these are being developed right now. There's a group I've been working with who are creating a co-ownership model and even working with lenders where you can get your own individual mortgage even though you're buying a single family or a 2 or 3 unit property. So there is some innovation happening on the financing side, and that's kind of a critical thing because it's all about financing these days, right? This is where.
I was gonna say, what I love about that model with the 4 women sharing is it's not just for the aging population. There are younger people who are choosing to live together as well too, because more as a lifestyle choice than sometimes out of a financial necessity. But with changing models or changing forms of housing, we acknowledge that there is changing preferences in how we live, and with that comes with this ecosystem of supports, whether it's the legal templates, the lenders, or co-ownership products that are out there to support people in that journey. It's been really interesting to see.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to some of your questions on the other side of the break. Don't go away.